Wow, I love that music. And Ramon, your dancing was perfect. All right, hello and welcome everyone. This is Rashmi from Designhill. Thank you for joining us today. I hope you guys are doing fantastic and staying safe. If you can hear me, let me know where you're joining us from. I would love to know that. Let me know in the chat section. So today we have some amazing panelists with us here today who are going to talk about social media strategy, turning fans into customers and customers into super fan. And it is going to be super fun and super interesting topic. All right, I see people responding. Wonderful. All right, so today's event is brought to you by Designhill, which is the world's leading creative marketplace that caters to the creative needs of businesses and individuals alike who can source high quality designs and buy unique products created by independent artists. Let me quickly introduce all our panelists for today. We have Brooke Sellas with us. Brooke is the founder and CEO of B Squared Media, an award winning social media advertising and customer care agency. She's also the co host of the Marketing Companion podcast with Mark Skeffer, where they discuss jaw dropping marketing trends. Brooke's marketing mantra is think conversion and not campaign, so be sure to give her a shout. Brooke, please say hi to the audience.
Hi, I had to unmute myself. Hi, thanks so much for having me. I can't wait to talk with you guys today.
Wonderful. Next we have is Brynne Tillman. Brynne trains and coaches professionals to convert LinkedIn connection to sales conversations. She's transforming the way professionals grow their business by leveraging LinkedIn to convert content and connection to conversations. Brynne.
Hi, so thrilled to be here. Thanks for having me.
Next we have is Jessika Phillips. Jessika is a social media strategist known for her outspoken dedication to relationship marketing. Jessica's personal mission is to inspire people to love more, give more, and be more through using authentic relationship every day. She founded Now Marketing Group in 2010 with only a laptop and a vision. The company is now a Forbes recognized agency partner and a certified inbound partner with HubSpot. Jessika.
Hey everyone, I'm so glad to be here.
Next we have is Ramon Ray. Ramon is an in-demand global keynote speaker, entrepreneur, best-selling author, and event producer and host. He is the founder of Smart Hustle Media, which inspires and educates small business owners. Celebrity CEO, which is Ramon's fourth book, is about building a community and personal brand. Ramon has shared the stage with Seth Godin, Damon John, Guy Kawasaki, Gary Vaynerchuk, and others. Ramon.
Hey, everybody. Honored to be here. Thank you for having me. And I can't wait to join the stage with my peers and provide some knowledge and probably fun.
Next, we have is Saul Colt. Saul is the founder and creative director at the Idea Integration Company. In his career, he has been named as one of the iMedia 25 internet marketing leaders and innovators, as well as being called as one of the Canada's best community builder and marketeer. Saul is the first marketing person and a key part of the growth of freshbooks.com, as well as the first chief evangelist of zero.com. He's also a professional speaker and consultant specializing in word of mouth marketing, stunt marketing, social media, community building, and business courage. Saul.
I'm also like the low energy Raymond Ray. So looking forward to chatting with everybody today.
Okay, thank you so much to all the panelists over here for joining us today and taking out your time. All right, everybody, let's look at what Designhill is all about first, and so that we can begin with the session.
The thing I love about filmmaking is that it's collaborative, that every part of the process you have to invite and bring in a team of people to share your vision with. I love that you can have an idea, you can write a script, but in order to make any type of film, you need at least one to hundreds of other people. New in Jersey is a television show that I've been working on for the past year. I've always wanted to make New Jersey what Stephen King made Maine, and tell these really weird small stories in New Jersey. When you're pitching a show or a movie, it's really important to take that time and make what you're presenting feel real and authentic. I was looking for design materials that can help explain my vision and help brand what I'm trying to sell. So I used Designhill's logo maker, and it was super easy. They asked me a couple questions, I answered them, and then I picked from a handful of designs that I liked certain aesthetics about. And then within a few seconds, I had tons of options to mix and match and choose from. It was really easy. When you're pitching a show, you don't always have your budget worked out. For me, this was an awesome option. Designhill's logo maker was really affordable, so I don't have to put a ton of money in, and I get the assets that I need to make my job easier and more successful. In addition to the logo, they also offer things like t-shirts, business cards, and social media kits. I can honestly say that thanks to Designhill, I now have the assets and the materials I need to go into a meeting and feel my best.
All right, that was a bit about one of the service that Designhill offer. I have few announcements to make before I begin with the session. We will be providing certificates to all the attendees, so make sure you stay tuned till the end of the session. Number two is a fun part. We will be giving a $50 print shop gift card to one of the lucky winners. So what you have to do is just take a screenshot of this session and tweet about it, tag all our panelists and Designhill. The Twitter handle of all the panelists will be in the chat section, and we will be sharing some cool offers at the end of the session as well, so stay tuned till the end. Also, if you have any question, we will be taking all the questions in the end, in the last 10 to 15 minutes if we have time. So make sure you put your questions in the question section, and we will be rolling out few polls in between, so make sure you answer that as well. All right, here's all the announcements are over, and now we can get started with the session. So Jessika, let me start with you first, and I will take this question to other panelists as well. We have received this question from a lot of attendees, audience that have registered for the session, and it is about, starting with social media. So as a small business owner, how to get started on social media when you have limited investment?
Yeah, great question. I hear this a lot as well. I think the most important thing is not to overthink it. Social media is just that conversational platform. So you don't have to choose all the networks either. Just start with thinking about who you are as a brand, who you want to communicate with as your ideal audience, so your ideal persona, and what you want to show up to care more for and out-care your competition on social. So CARE I use as an acronym, just capturing attention, articulating your message, using it to build real relationships and exceptional experiences. And going in with that mindset, choose the platform that's going to help you articulate your message the best, show up to build the relationships with the people you want to build it with, and use it to provide exceptional experiences. So your messaging is going to be important. Like, how can we answer questions here or serve people during the pandemic, right? Things that they would normally do in our brick and mortar. How can we show up on social, not necessarily just to sell, but how can we help them and service our audience there on social? And spend time there, not just showing up to create your content and put it out there nicely that's going to capture attention using tools like Designhill to do that, but also to engage and listen and just use it to build those relationships. And don't focus on the likes, but just focus on the conversations that you're building and keep at it.
I think
Wonderful.
it's also,
Jessika talked about, yeah, Saul, please go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think it's also really important to show who you are, and to give away some of your personality. Don't be, if your brand is playful and casual, don't have a corporate voice on social media at the beginning. It's so important to establish. Jessika, I agree with everything she said about being out there and listening to conversations, starting conversations, but also these are all common sense things, but it's about really being human. I think some of the mistakes that some brands make is like, you could be the most fun person in real life, and on social you create these boundaries for yourself, or these rigid lanes to stay in. But like one of the things I've said a million times, in the early days of social, and I was very fortunate to be there really early, is like companies like I don't know, like JetBlue, and all these companies, they had a person's face as their avatar instead of their logo, because people get mad at companies really quickly, but they won't get mad at people so quickly. So you have to really infuse that people aspect into into your social platform, because I always say, you'll see tweets all the time of AT&T should get cancer and die, but it's never Amy from AT&T should get cancer and die. And you have to really think of these things at the very beginning, to be human and allow people to see the people behind the company. That's the whole part, the whole reason of being on social, is to let people sort of have a peek inside.
And just
So
one
the
comment
idea
that,
here is
but like two, completely spot on. And I should mention, I always tell clients, like, you have to start from the inside out. If your culture's not right, your voice isn't right, your marketing's never going to be right. So whatever's happening, like, behind the scenes, like, get that right first, get your culture in check, get your tone of voice in check, and show up truly who you are, because people are going to be able to tell the difference anyway. So make sure that is articulated. That's part of the articulating your voice.
Okay, I think Brynne wants to add to that. Yeah, please go ahead, Brynne.
Yeah, so I think that's all fabulous. I think the next piece, once you've done that, is you have to get away from what you think they want to hear and really figure out what it is that they truly want to hear. Because we want to tell them what we want to tell them, and we can break the system. We've got to really identify what it is that they want to hear and what will engage them. And, I think the question was, when you're getting started, how do you do this? You may not even know yet. So consider doing easy things like create a poll on LinkedIn and share it on Twitter, and start to identify through asking questions to your audience what it is that they care about, what's their priority. You can gather so many insights, and people love to share their point of view. If you ask someone to take a poll, they're thrilled. They love to press the button, right? So we can use social in a way to gather insights about what it is that we need to be sharing on social. So I think that's a really important thing, is to really identify what it is that they want to hear us talking about.
Okay, so we talked about content, we talked about audience, we talked about a little bit about, Jessika talked about engagement. So let's deep dive into it. Brooke, let me take this question to you. So finding a right audience is very critical to convert your followers to customers when it comes to social media, right? So what strategies would you suggest to tap the right audience on social media?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I know we're going to hit on social listening a little bit today. And I think that's one of the most wonderful ways that we've helped our clients fine tune some of their, social listening can really go to all aspects of your business, product development, customer care, but it plays a huge part in social media, because that's where a lot of these conversations are happening. And I think when you use social listening, which uses artificial intelligence to bring you back data in real time, and you can slice and dice that data any way you see fit, you can start to understand your audience as a whole, and then slice and dice your audience and understand their interests, what they're talking about, what content they want to see from you. You can fine tune your messaging. You can use the words your audience use. What we find a lot of times is that brands want to talk about things with their own brand jargon, and that's not how people or consumers are talking about their products and services. So from our perspective, we're saying, look, if you want to join the conversation, you can't talk like a brand. You have to talk like a peer. So let's use some of these insights from listening to not only better fine tune who our audience is, but to join those conversations and get them to become loyal to us and our community and our brand.
Ramon, I see you have been putting all the insights that all the panelists have been sharing in the chat section. So thank you so much, first of all, for that. And let me ask you a follow-up question, which is about audience. A lot of people have asked us that, okay, we know that we started our journey on social media. We started posting content, doing engagement, but then how to figure out whether we are tapping into the right audience or not? So what are these parameters to go about deciding whether the audience that we are catering to or the audience we are talking to is right?
Yeah, I think that when you start talking on social media, when you start posting on social media, if you hear this, silence, you're on the wrong path. But as you're posting, as you're sharing, as you're educating, naturally people will flock to you and be engaged. Not everybody, as I think our speakers are saying, but that's not what you want. You don't want everybody. If you're making, I don't know, this cup or whatever you're doing, and you're targeting shaved head people with glasses who wear silly orange, green shirts, that's all you want to come to you. So I think that's how you know. The marketplace will tell you. And I think the other thing I would say is don't worry about going too niche. Sometimes we think, oh, all 300 million or 400 million people in America or billion people in India, whatever it is, didn't follow me. That's okay. You couldn't even handle all the business. So don't worry about going small and just targeting what's important for you. But you'll know, because if you hear silence, people are not picking up what you're serving.
That's the best answer you can ever get. Yeah, Brynne, you want to add to that?
Yeah, so a lot of it is defining if you've already got a business. I know you're talking if you're just starting, but if you've already got a business, take a look not just at all of your clients and to find people like them, but your favorite clients, the ones that you want more of. And start to look, a lot of it is talking to them about what they care about. Get them involved and engaging with you, and that will attract more people like them. The other thing is to find magnets, people that are already attracting your ideal clients, whether it's on Twitter or Facebook or LinkedIn or wherever they're hanging out, and engage not just with the author of the content, but all the people commenting. You can really build a very fast following of the right people if you start to leverage people that are already attracting them and engage there.
Yeah, can I mention one other additional thing to that exact on Brynne? But yeah, so don't just wait to kind of see what people do. If you already have some people that you know as your audience or your ideal client, have a conversation with them directly, right? And ask them the questions like, where are you going for information? Who do you enjoy listening to? What do you prefer? Why did you choose us? What were you considering other than us? And look at that and have those real conversations versus guessing, right? So if you have access to that, use it and use it frequently and often, as well as it's not just, to Brynne's point again, not just your customers that you're trying to look for, it's also your community. So people you align with, like what we're all doing here. We all have different brands, but all have a similar goal where we're all trying to help brands, build true relationships. This is a community. I'm going to share their content. I think they're doing an amazing job. I'm sharing it on, and vice versa. So think about those community members that are also, can be collaborators with you, your clients that will become advocates, and your team members as well. If they're engaged with what you're sharing, you're really doing something right, because they're going to share it on and become your evangelist for you. And to Saul's point at the very, very beginning, it's a personal thing, right? And if your team members sharing and advocating and passionate about your brand and sharing it on, that's where those magnets are going to stick, because people want to identify with other people.
Not only that, if we're still talking about early development, early growth of your channels, you should know the first 50 people that follow you by first name. You should really be spending time with them, asking them questions. One of the things that I do is I try to go outside of social media to build my social media channels. So if I've got 100 people that have bought my product and maybe they're not following me on social, I don't push them to social and sort of make like a hard sell, but I will, one of the first things I do anytime I join somebody either as a consultant or something is I try to send a survey to all of the customers. It's a 5-question, very simple survey, and it tells me everything I need. And the questions are really, it's like, what books do you like? What industry blogs do you read? What are some of your favorite, YouTube channels? I basically ask who they follow, why they like it, stuff like that. And then the 5th question is always just something silly like, what's your favorite color? What's, something like that, just to keep it so it doesn't look like a thing. But if I know what blogs they're reading, what trade shows they go to when there used to be trade shows, where they prefer to read their trade information, all those things, I can actually figure out, what sort of world they live in, where there's like-minded people like them. So if I already know that they like me and they're going to go, I can pretty much determine which trade shows I should go to, because there's probably going to be another 25% of people that look and smell just like these people. And if I know what blogs they're reading, I can go to those blogs. Those blogs usually might have, they may have bulletin boards or Reddit subreddits or all sorts of things. And once I actually know this, I can then go out, be part of other people's communities and drag them back to my community. So it's not always just me screaming, come here, come here, come here. Like, social media was always about, it was supposed to be leveling the playing field and not doing a hard sell on people. So the people who, the people who send me 20 emails, over a 4-month period where it's just like, download my app. I actually got an email this morning on LinkedIn. I was going to share it, but I thought it was maybe a little aggressive to share it. But it was literally a guy who just said, hey, I just launched a company. It'd be really great if you bought 4 of my headphones. I've never met this person. I don't know them. We have no relationship and stuff like that. And it was just a 4-line email where it's just like, it would really help out my business. I would react to an email from a friend who said that to me, but someone I don't know. So, that's the same thing with social. Like, it's like the old, all the cliches. It's all about, use all your dating skills, and, you kiss before you take your clothes off and stuff like that. The same things apply with social. You have to earn. It's still about earning people's trust. It's still about showing value, and it's still about joining communities and creating relationships and make them want to come to you, because the hard sell only works for so long. And maybe someone will give you 1 chance or 2 chances, but it's like you want people to want to be there, and that's the whole thing. I'll stop talking.
Okay, so that was a great example, and the key takeaway here for us is to build a community, be human, build a relationship, and talk to your audience. That's the key takeaway. Brynne, I'll come back to you. Let's move ahead with the next question. We have a lot of questions, and our audience has also put out questions in the question section, so I'll definitely come back to you. Brooke, let me take this question to you. This is about paid marketing. And the question is it possible to grow on social media without having to resort to paid promotion like FB ads and Instagram ads? Have you come across any such business who has been able to do that? And what are the best practices to grow organically in times like this when, all the social media platforms are saturated and everyone is putting content and everything out there? So what are your tips to grow organically?
Yeah, that's a tough question, because back in the day, and how I got my start in social media in 2007 was doing everything organically. There wasn't paid, there weren't even Facebook pages, but I managed to put together a pub crawl and use social media to get 7,500 people to sign up, and we made $60,000. I mean, it was like easy peasy. But over time, and especially with sites like Facebook and Instagram, they've changed their algorithm in such a way that it is very hard to get organic attention like that, like I did back in 2007. So what we've seen with our clients is it still possible? Absolutely. And you have to do those things that all of our wonderful panelists have been telling you today, like be smart about it, be human, don't go out there and hard sell. However, we've seen with our clients that those who have the most success and the fastest success with social media combine both organic and paid efforts together. And I don't want to scare people. I don't want you to think that means you have to spend, thousands of dollars. A lot of times it's as simple as $1 a day like campaign, getting people to follow your brand, but then also making sure that you have a reason to keep them there. You have a reason for them to engage once they do come there. So, it's not an easy answer. So unfortunately, I don't have like a template for saying like, this is exactly what you need to do. It's a little more nuanced than that. But I guess I'll leave you with, in my opinion, I think paid and organic practices work best together.
Ramon, would you like to add to that?
Absolutely. I think all day long, for me, I can say in my journey, I think all day long, I think paid advertising is great. Oftentimes, I think why smaller businesses fail in it because they don't know how to do it right. And I know Brooke, I think Brynne and many others, they're experts in this. So I would say you can do it yourself, but it's good to work with somebody who can help guide you on the funnel. But I think, yes, organic for me, it does work. It's harder, as many of my peers here know. That's my strategy. All day, I'm doing selfies, I'm doing Instagram stories, I'm sharing other people's content. Over the past 20 plus years, because I invented the internet, my business has grown. So yes, I think organic definitely can work. It just takes a lot. One thing I say, frequency, relevancy, engagement, analytics. Those 4 things have to be hand in hand, especially if you're using organic, but yes, it can work.
So I'm gonna actually Brynne, you go, because you've raised your hand a couple times. I'll jump in after.
Well, so there are a few things with this, and although I do believe that there is a place for paid ads, there is a difference between marketing and sales. And there's a difference between inbound and outbound. And the way that we teach people to organically grow is to get it into the inbox. You've got to have outbound efforts, right? So if you've got real value and you're sharing real content, maybe it's curated content, and that doesn't always have to be original content, but you've got to show up in their inbox with value, vendor agnostic value. And this is the key. That means that when they consume the content that you've shared, they don't have to talk to you to have gotten value from consuming it, right? So there's an ask-offer ratio in everything we do. We're asking them for 3 minutes to watch a video, 2 minutes to read a post. At the end of it, they have 1 of 3 reactions. That was a bait and switch. I thought it was going to be a value, but they pitched me, right? Like, so, connect and pitch on LinkedIn is a bait and switch. It just is, right? We don't want to get there. So much ends up to this bait and switch. So I consumed your content and you tricked me. The second one is neutral. It doesn't hurt you, but it doesn't help you. And if you have too much neutral, they stop watching and listening. So it's not that like, hey, you've hurt your reputation, but they're not continually coming back. So it has to be compelling. And to be compelling, to master that ask-offer ratio, you have to resonate with your buyer, create curiosity, teach them something new, get them thinking differently, and lead to your solution, not with your solution, if you want to use social media for business development.
So I would just say on top of everything that everyone else said, and I agree with all of you, but I'm going to take it in a little different direction. So Brooke, I totally agree. You have to pay for, you have to pay for, attention right now, and it could be small, it could be large. You have to pay smartly. I'll be the first to admit I've got a big following, and the only reason I have a big following is because I'm usually inappropriate, I'm usually irreverent, and I was there early. So it was a lot easier to build a following when there weren't so many people on there, and you get 1 or 2 blog posts from someone saying these are the 20 most interesting people on Twitter today, and all of a sudden you've got 1,000 new followers in a matter of an hour. I don't think that happens as much anymore. Ramon, absolutely, you've built something incredible for yourself, and but I look at what you do and I couldn't do that. I don't have the stamina to do as many posts you do all day and stuff like that. If you're not going to pay for content, the quickest way to build an audience is to really have a clear point of view that people are going to follow, and and it might not be a conventional point of view, and it's probably like Brynne said, you can't be neutral, or maybe it was Brooke that said. I apologize, I don't recall who said it. If you want to build a following, you have to have an opinion. You have to stand out, and you have to have something that people are going to literally tell 10 friends and say, you got to hear what this woman is saying, or you got to hear what this man is saying. Because if you're just, like the early days of Twitter, everyone jokes, but it was literally, I'm eating a tuna sandwich. And people are like, oh man, do you have celery? That's what it was like. You do that stuff now, and you're gonna find that, like Ramon said, you're gonna get crickets and stuff like that. So and it's really interesting. I really know what connects with people because I pay really close attention. I'm talking about my personal brand and when I do corporate, I could tell you before I send a tweet pretty much roughly how many people respond to it just historically and paying attention. And I still do the ones that no one's going to care about because it's for me. Sometimes it's not for everyone else. But like, again, just to sort of summarize everything, I don't think you could build an organic audience to like a crazy amount unless you're willing to put in a ridiculous amount of time that it will leave you with, like, just exhausted it every day, or put a little bit of paid energy, or like work with people, get groups together, share likes and stuff like that. But yeah, something that's been said many times on this conversation already: don't worry about the likes, worry about what people actually care about. It's like I would always rather have 600 people who respond to everything I say than 100,000 people who couldn't care less anytime I go out there and some of that. And also, it all depends on what your goals are. 600 likes for a tweet mean nothing if nobody buys your product, if selling is your goal. So it's always figure out your goal, work backwards. If it's engagement, then craft your things towards engagement. If it's sales, craft your things towards sales. If it's education, craft your things to education. If it's all of those things, then you figure out what the balance is and you work it out there. But it's always goal first, work backwards. At least that's how I do it.
That's a great point, Saul, that you have made here, and I completely agree with that. My next question completely resonate with that point. What is your goal to be on social media, whether it is to build engagement with your customers or to have sales? So, as we all know, that content is king, and it is one of the crucial thing to take care of on social media. So, how to plan content in the initial stages of a business to gauge maximum attention of people and convert them as followers? So I'll take it to Ramon first, and then I'll
planning
take it to Brynne.
content definitely so important. I happen to be more haphazard because that's me, but I think for sure the businesses out here, especially who have teams of people, I think strategy is important. So simple things like my peers here probably know very well: a content calendar, being aware of what holidays are there, being aware of what your audience may want. Also remember, it's not just the holidays like a national country holiday. It could be today's Thursday, we're celebrating just your 1-year anniversary as a customer. So I think planning the content you're having is one. What content will you say is two? Three, where will it live is also important. If everybody's saying, why aren't you on Instagram? Why aren't you on Instagram? Well, you can come back to them because our customers are not on Instagram. Great. Maybe they're on LinkedIn. Maybe they're on Facebook. Maybe they're even on TikTok. So my point being, what are you going to say? How are you going to say it? Where will it live? And then measure. 30 days, 15 days, 45 days. See what resonates, what works. And you go from there steady, and you will have more success in your business for sure.
Yeah. One of the things we tell our clients who are just starting out with social and they're unsure about content is like, hey, let's build the content together. Just like Ramon said, let's plan a content calendar, and then let's let the data tell us where to go next. So one of the things you can do, it's super simple. We call it a seesaw report. And every single week, we look at every post on every platform, and we pin the top 3 performing posts and the bottom 3 performing posts. And we do a quick analysis of those posts. And we try to draw out what are some of the themes of this content. Why did it do well? Why didn't it do well? Did it use a hashtag? Was it an image? Was it only a link? Was it text only? What was the theme of the content? Was it a sales pitch or was it entertaining? Over time, if you do that all report every single week with all of your content, you will start to see micro trends and patterns of what's working and what's not working, and it will help you develop a better strategy for your content moving forward.
Wonderful. Jessika, you're back again. I think you lost internet connection.
Blame the Ohio internet. I don't know.
Yeah. So we touched upon organic growth on social media, and we touched upon content, the role of content on social media and how to go about that. So let me, since you have joined us now, let me take this question to you as well. So the next question is about engagement tactics that a lot of people want to understand. since you have worked with a lot of clients, in your business, what are some of the engagement tactics to grab eyeballs of the audience? Like running a contest or game is one of them. Referral is another one, which is a good one. Could you suggest more ideas or more things that you see which works on social media when it comes to engaging with your audience?
Yeah, as long as it doesn't feel like an engagement tactic, if you know what I mean. So that's the best way, personalization. So I love, depending on who your audience is, we love personalizing, whether it's audio messages in the inbox. You got to remember some of the best ways of growing engagement sometimes aren't just focusing on getting mass engagement. It's like focusing on one-to-one. So how can I build a relationship and a rapport with one individual person at a time sometimes, and that will multiply because they're going to be more loyal coming back to your content and sharing and engaging. Now, of course, there's some ways to grow this and harness this, but it does take time. But I like, for example, some of our clients will build smaller, more niche communities that are more intimate, where people feel comfortable talking about things. So whether it's a Facebook group or LinkedIn, group, or using stories, things like that. The whole goal of engagement really is to build a connection and a rapport with your clients. So don't think of it as getting those likes. And when you take that part out of it, then you'll get the keys of engagement. But of course, some contests and things like that work, but it just can't feel gimmicky. The whole key is just building that rapport for repeat referral traffic back to you, and you building a rapport to your clients so they and community so they stay loyal to you.
Wonderful. Saul, let me take this question to you, and it's about, what annoys the customer or your followers the most on social media. So I'm sure you would have worked with a lot of clients, and you would have seen businesses making mistakes a lot of times on social media. So what do you think, the mistakes that brands or businesses are doing on social media, which annoys the customers a lot?
I think everybody is going to have like a different threshold for annoyance, but the obvious ones are kind of like that email I got today. I don't know you, and I'm already asking for favors. I'm asking demands. I'm assuming that we have a relationship that we don't have already. Like the things like sending too many spam messages and stuff like that. I think you'll kind of figure it out by looking at your data. People are bailing, not opening, and things like that. But there's tons of things that annoy. I'm like a cranky guy, so if you send me 20 emails in a row and it's all about yourself and there's no value towards me, that's going to annoy me. It annoys me when people ask for a Trustpilot review before the products even arrived at my door or anything like that. Like there's tons of things that companies could be doing better, but to say universally these are the things you shouldn't do. Like your customers will tell you what annoys them, and pay really, really close attention, listen and respond. Because one of the things that will annoy them is when they're telling you what they want and they don't, you're not listening. So that's the overall one is don't listen.
Yeah, Brynne, go ahead.
So I think I love that. And I think you have to come from the perspective is that there is a human being on the other side of that message, right? We tend, especially when we're sales oriented and we're stuck in, I got to make my number. We think if we, ask enough people, some might say yes, right? And so we go out there and but if you walked into a trade show or a business card exchange and walked up to someone and said, buy 4 headphones from me, they would laugh. Like, you don't do that. You start with building rapport, building toward a relationship, but learning about them, right? You've got to treat the person on the other side of the message the way you would if they were on the other side of the table. It's just, you have to get that this is not a cold calling platform, whatever platform we're on. That's not what this is about. This is about engaging and bringing value and being a resource and building relationships. The sales will come when the time is right.
Yeah, one point to that is social media is not for sales, honestly. Like, can it grow sales? Yes, but does it typically happen from just posts? So social can generate business back on your website or in an inbox, right? But it typically is not for just promoting and growing sales, right? There, you can have a cart or a store, things like that on there. But the social post, you have to take the thought of, I'm using this right now with the intention of selling. It truly is, like what everyone said, relationship building, rapport building. So people do want to come back and choose you. It's setting yourself apart from other options that are out there. But taking the thought of each post has to generate some kind of sale will help eliminate that question in your mind of what you should post, I think.
If I could piggyback, so I 100% agree when it comes to posting. There is an element of LinkedIn where there is a much more direct sell, which is I have clients, my clients like me. I'll ask them for referrals and they go, can't think of anyone right now. But with LinkedIn, you can search and filter their connections and make a list of people they know. And you can bring that list to your clients and say, you happen to know these 8 people that I'd love to get in front of. Can we talk through them? And 3 of them end up to be, these would be really good for you. And you could get warm introductions from your happy clients, your networking partners. That's where the sales can come in. But if you start selling in content and messaging and inbound and cold calling, you're going to die in the vine. It's just never going to convert. We are tired of seeing it. We're exhausted from being, bait and switched, bait and pitched all day long. So we've got to move from, if we don't like it, why do we think our buyer is going to like it? Like there's a disconnect. And so we have to really, I'm going to say it again, you've got to build value, bring value to them, be a resource and build those relationships. The sales will come when the time is right.
One way to think about it is build the relationship on social so they'll actually open the email when you send it to them. And then in the email, you can ask for the referral, you can ask for the sale, you can do those things because like that's the sort of the way I differentiate the two. I still think email is the number one tool for sales and stuff like that. But on average for most industries, you got like a 22 to 30% open rate on newsletters. So use social to get that open rate from 22 to 30, 30 to 35, 35 to 39. You're never going to get 100. You're never going to get 70% opens. It's like, well, maybe some people do or whatever, but it's all about goals and stuff. So you use social to drive those opens on the email.
Definitely, and I completely agree with that. In fact, we got connected to our panelists through social media, and then we dropped them an email. So I can definitely testify on that front, right? Okay, so now let's go to social listening, which is really hot in the market right now. Everyone is talking about social listening tools and which tool to use, whether it is effective or not. So let me take this question to Ramon first, and then I'll take it to Brooke also to add to her opinion. So Ramon, the incoming of social listening tools have eased the way we track companies' image on social media. What is your advice to people who are trying to zero down on the apt social listening tool? Also, if you could name some of the most effective social listening tools for us, that would be helpful.
Sure. I happen to be part of the group, probably the simplest way to do it. And I'm going to defer to my colleagues. There's a ton of tools, AI tools, all kind of cool tools, which people should consider. But I just want to drop down at the basic level for me. Social listening, as a keynote speaker, for example, that I am, I follow the hashtag keynote speaker on Instagram. So for me, and at the simplest level, that's social listening. I'm not posting anything, but do you know how many global keynote speakers I've become not friends with, but to become known to all over the world, Australia, Asia, the US, just by following a good hashtag. So I think that's the basic level of social listening. As I said before, it's not about typing, talking. We do that too much. Sometimes we have to just, that's it. So for me, that's social listening, but there's many tools, especially as companies grow, absolutely you should use because you can mine data. And I know Brooke, I think we were at a mutual friend of ours, Brooke, was talking about, he at your conference talked about data and mining things. So that stuff is ninja stuff, but I'll defer to Brooke exactly on that. But social listening, even just using a hashtag on a social platform and finding out what people are talking about, that's even the beginning of social listening.
Yeah,
I
to
love
add
your
to that,
energy, Ramon.
sorry.
No, no, please,
Yeah,
Brooke, go
I'll
ahead.
add.
I was just complimenting him on his energy. But please go ahead.
Yeah, he's the best. He's truly the best. Yeah, so I would add to that too. Like everybody, I think, gets nervous about social listening because there are some very wonderful, very expensive tools out there, but there's Google Alerts. That is free and it still works. I still have Google Alerts set up on my own company, my name, my top competitors, any other stakeholders that I'm trying to pay attention to. Talk Walker, like Talking Walker. I'll type it into the chat after I finish this. That's another free tool you can use. So there are free tools out there to kind of dip your toes in. And as Ramon said, listening's free. And there's a lot of really advanced ways to listen through social media. If you want to go into the paid world, there are a ton of paid tools. I'm tool agnostic for the most part. We use Sprout Social for listening at our company, but we also use what our clients have us use. So we've used Digimind, we've used Khoros, we've used Meltwater. There's so many tools that we've used, and the bottom line is what the tool is providing needs to meet your own key performance indicators. So if you decide you're going to spend some of your precious budget on a social listening tool, which I'm an advocate for, understand what you're trying to achieve with that tool. And then when you go to do that demo with the company, you need to say, here are my 3 main KPIs. How is your tool going to meet that? Show me. And if they can't show you, that's not the tool for you.
Wonderful. Jessica?
I mentioned one other free tool
Yeah.
that you can do. It's been amazing for many of my clients is join groups. There's groups around every niche topic that you can think of. If you ever want to know what your audience is thinking, if you know your personas and what they're into, like asking those questions like Saul mentioned, Raymond mentioned, I mean, all everyone's mentioned on here, knowing your audience, go join a group. And you can join it as yourself or the business now in many cases, and just listen. Just start by listening, see what they're posting, see what they're commenting. It's been amazing. We've come up with so many great blog topics for that because we know that's what people are into, all right, because we're listening to them, and it's free. You can also go to, tools like answerthepublic.com, where you can find out other topics that are around that core topic that you just heard of to help you with your content strategy. But just go join some groups, follow some hashtags, and listen, which is free. And yeah, those tools that Brooke mentioned also
I have
are
a
great.
wonderful thing that I love is you go to Google and just Google what you think that you want to talk about. And then go all the way to the bottom, and Google is going to tell you the 8 or 10 things that people are using to search. Right? So they'll say, based on what you just said, here's what people are really saying and asking. And that's a really very easy, free way to grab the next title of your content.
Wonderful. Brooke, again, a follow-up question on the social listening part. One of the critical point that comes here is what stage of a business, one can go for social listening tool, because it's gaining a lot of popularity these days, and it also gives a lot of insights to a business in terms of who is following you, who are the influencers who are talking about you, what people are talking about your company. You can put keywords there, you can put hashtags there. So the question is that whether what is the right stage for a business to take a paid version of a social listening tool and invest time and money into it, whether they should be doing some sort of research, or they should be starting with social listening tool right away. What is your take on that?
Yeah, well, as I mentioned earlier, I come from a nonprofit background, so I'm very frugal with my budget. So, I definitely encourage you to do your homework and then make the tool work for you. But the social listening tools that we use for our clients and the use cases that we have literally help from beginning to end. We've helped a client solve product development issues. We helped a client, a celebrity jewelry client, pick her new next brick and mortar location on where to open that store based on the data that social media listening brought us. We also helped her. She wasn't producing enough silver jewelry, and we kept getting silver jewelry requests. So we used social listening to quantify which pieces she should go into production with next, knowing that she would sell out immediately. I mean, we've built audience personas from social listening. We've helped with product pain points for research and development. We have a luxury appliance brand who put out a new fancy coffee machine that cost upwards of $3,000. And then when people couldn't figure out how to change the coffee filter, it was starting to happen through conversations online. They weren't necessarily tagging the company. The listening allowed us to, because of the keywords that we had in on this product, see that people were chatting amongst themselves about this terrible coffee filter problem. We were able to bring that to the client, quantify that pain point, and then also come up with the solution of putting a video of how to change the coffee filter on the product page. So, I mean, it truly isn't just about social media marketing. It can help every aspect of business. So if you can afford it and use it, you should. However, again, like, be frugal and be smart about it. Do your homework, do your research, and make sure that it's going to solve your particular goals.
One other thing to what Brooke just said, so spot on, because you can't just listen on the platforms that you're comfortable with. I think that's like a big misconception too, with brands are expecting to be tagged. Like, prime example was probably Ocean Spray on the TikTok example. This guy was just, out there living his best life with Ocean Spray. If they were not listening to that, right, like, they could have missed a huge brand opportunity. And many brands, I mean, we're not using TikTok. Many of us aren't. But because they were listening, they were able to tap and maximize quickly on that opportunity. And not only did their sales go up, it sold out. The sales for them, the song, like everything. And this guy is now living his best life in a really cool truck. So, I mean, just, listening, not just on the platforms you're comfortable with, it can make a big difference in not only your marketing, but also, what your sales come as a result of it.
And can I add one thing there, please? I just want to add regarding what happened with Ocean Spray. And again, half the people here listening to us have no clue what we're talking about. So let's just flag that as well. We're all in our own vacuum here. But there was a guy on TikTok and other social platforms called Dog Face. So you can take that what it is. That's what his handle is. And he was drinking Ocean Spray while going on a skateboard. And he works in a boxing company, meat company. I can't remember. But he works at a job. You're working hard and all this kind of thing with your arms. Point being, I just want to underline also the risk. They could have said, oh, he's not female in a big house. Oh, he's not a mom with 3 kids. Or, oh, he's not a dad with a Land's End flannel jacket sitting there. I drink cranberry juice. No, he's some dude now, by his own admission, bad teeth. His handle is Dog Face. He just dances to kind of crazy music. So my point is, sometimes also you got to take risk and just do stuff. And to the point, the results happen. So I want to underline that. They didn't do a study and think, well, he's not a fit. No, so.
Yeah.
Okay. That's some great insights coming from our panelists here, guys, and I hope you guys are taking notes. So we have just 5 more minutes left with us, and I see a few questions coming from the audience in the question section. So let me take those questions as well. Let me see the most upvoted question, and I'll take that. So Vanessa has asked us, Saul, let me take this question to you. Vanessa has asked us, without asking proactively, are there tools that we can use to help us learn where our target audience are and know their interest? Basically, how to figure out the interest of the target audience.
On top of my head, I can't think of a great recommendation. I've used a few different ones that I haven't really loved. I would say, one of the biggest things that I come across whenever I'm engaged for a consulting thing is people don't even know who their customers are and who their target is. So I always, before you start, the whole without asking proactively, blah, 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 learn where your target audience. Do a customer identification exercise and actually understand who your customers are. Because once you actually know who they are, that answers half the questions that you're trying to figure out, like by this tool, what they do and stuff like that. And it's like if you really don't know who your customers are, it's kind of like the 4 most important things about designing a product or a service is is, it's the idea, it's the who are you building it for, design for those people, then sell to those people. So I would say this is the one part you shouldn't look for a tool for a shortcut. Actually go through the whole process, identify who your target is, your customers, figure out if you're actually building something for them correctly. Then you can go building personas and stuff like that.
Okay, the next question is asked by Co, and Ramon, let me take this question to you. The question is, if you have had a casual presence on social media, how is it best to shift in order to represent yourself as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think I actually get that, Ramon. I have a social presence online with my kids, my cat, my dog, things of that nature. Now I have a business. How do I do it? And I say just start. I think two things I'll answer that. I think one is that don't get into this thing. There's personal and private. At least for me, online, there's only one version because I can't risk somebody finding, F this president, F that president, I hate them, or look, I'm sloppy drunk. I can't afford that. So one, online, I am one consistent person. If it's anything very personal, it's on a private WhatsApp group. So that's one. Two, for those who are starting out, just start today. You've been doing stuff with your family and friends, whatever, over the course of 3 months, 6 months, ideally speaking, if it's nothing really bad, nobody's going to notice. Unless it's something really, really you're ashamed of. But just start today. As Seth Godin says, there's no better time today than to go out and launch. It's risky, but start now.
Wonderful. All right. Yeah, Brynne, you want to add to that?
Right, and I think that's awesome. I think, when you are going to start now and you're stuck, where do you start? A couple of things. Start to capture your own genius, right? You're out there answering questions to clients every day. You're sending or prospects. You're having conversations. A lot of people will say, a lot of our clients come to us and say, well, we're not content producers. If you're in sales or if you're in any kind of business development and you are talking to people every single day, you are probably a prolific content producer. You're just not capturing it. And so I think it's really important to start to get hyper aware of the answers you're giving people, the questions that are being asked, and start to leverage what is happening in your daily life, and then talk about how do we use that already existing content to convert to actually shareable content for social.
Okay, so the rest of the question that I see on the question screen, I think we have answered all of them during the session that we have. So I will take the last question of the session here, and I would request everybody to share a tip with the audience right now to sort of grow on social media. And the topic is how to turn fan into customers and customers into super fans. So if you can share quick tips that you have throughout your experience. So Saul, let me start with you.
How to turn fans into customers.
Yeah.
I've got like a 45-minute answer. It's not such a quick and easy thing. I mean, so it's really, make them the hero of the story. It's about, don't pay influencers lots of money for unqualified, followers. Find the people who have maybe 1,000 or 500 or 10,000 followers, but they're so laser targeted to what you're doing, and use your voice to amplify your customers. Make them the champion, make ads with your customers. It's less about having a celebrity say that they like you for 72 hours and then say they like someone else 2 days later. It's about, investing in the people that have invested in you, use their platforms, leverage their relationships in a nice way. Leverage is such like a harsh word, but invest in the people that are investing in you and grow that way. I'd rather have someone who has 600 followers talking about my brand, but 400 of those 600 people will maybe buy my product, than somebody with 150,000 followers that nobody will care what I'm talking about. So it's about investing in those people, making them the heroes.
Brynne, any other tip from you on growing on social media and turning fans into customers?
Yeah, you said real short. So I think my one biggest tip: ask for a smile. before you ask for a sale. That is the best way to do it, because then you build a fan base in a community and self-promotion. People can check out the book, Celebrity CEO, to be a celebrity in your industry. That's the key. As Saul said, not a celebrity like Kim Kardashian, but a celebrity in your industry.
I love it. So I would love to add in all, I think everything that everyone is saying is incredibly powerful. I think it is absolutely vital that you commit to doing this, right? That you put some time aside and you put, as Ramon mentioned, a content calendar, but a process. The biggest mistake people can make is random acts of social. We need to come at this as being very purposeful. And the one thing that will convert, I think, the major thing that will convert to a customer from social is really providing value that's impactful and gets them thinking differently about their current situation. Because when we can, our biggest competitor, no matter who we are, is status quo. And if we can't get them thinking differently, they don't take action typically. And so I think the biggest thing is that where the value that we're providing creates what we call the pug tilt, like, that's interesting, right? So if we can create that, it's like they got to test drive us and they can raise their hand and say, I think I want more of that. So.
Wonderful. Brooke, any last piece of advice that you would like to share?
Yeah, I think, at B Squared, we have the tagline, think conversation, not campaign. And I stick by that 100%. I think if you have smart conversations, not like the conversations like Saul was talking about, like buy 4 of my headphones. If you have smart conversations with your community and your would-be customers, they will turn into customers. The magic is there. That's where the magic happens, right? On social, is through those conversations. So if you're having intelligent conversations and you're meeting your customers where they are and you're solving their problems, you'll have no problems getting customers. The problem why most people are having problems getting customers through social is because they're not doing any of that. So it's actually pretty simple.
Great. Jessika, your point on that?
Oh my gosh, already so many great tips. And like I said, I want Ramon's face on a shirt that has his hang on there, ask for a smile before sale, because that was perfect. But yeah, I think the key is just to treat your current customers like VIPs and focus on them, to Saul's point, like making them the hero. Share what they're saying, focus on them, make them the influencer of your product, and personalize your approach. When others are seeing that, they want in on it because they're like, man, they're treating their customers pretty good and not just focused on sales. That in turn, by taking, instead of focusing on making a sales department, making it like a customer delight department and focusing in on that on social, that will draw in your followers to become super fans, your fans then to become customers, and your customers to become advocates. And it creates this great flywheel effect that's just going to keep growing in momentum. So all great stuff from everyone here.
Wonderful. So, okay, I think because of some technical reasons, Brooke and Saul have lost their connection. But anyways, that was the last question of the session.
One second, before you end, can we all give a big thanks and a woo-woo to Designhill and the entire team for hosting such a butt-kicking, fantastic event? Okay, I'm done. Back to you.
Thanks a lot for the shout-out, Ramon. I really appreciate that. Okay, we have Brooke back with us. Wonderful, guys. So that was the last question of the session, and this brings us to the end. Wonderful session with Saul, Brooke, Ramon, Jessika, and Brynne. This was indeed a value-packed session, although there is a lot more that we could have discussed. Unfortunately, we have limited time. I hope you guys enjoyed this session. I would like to thank all our speakers once again for taking out the time and joining us for this wonderful panel discussion. It was lovely having you all. Okay, so guys, this is not where it ends. We have a lot more sessions like this coming up. The next session is on advanced blogging and build content that drive traffic, sales, and engagement. If you have not registered yet, you will find the link in the chat section to register for the same. Also, if you have joined us late, you will see this event recording on our YouTube channel and on our events platform. You can again find the link in the chat, and you can subscribe to our new YouTube channel and events newsletter to find such events coming from Designhill. Also, we have launched a DIY creative platform for any designer or non-designer to create beautiful graphic design for your business. You can also check that out by going to designhill.com/studio. On that note, I would like to thank everybody for joining us and taking out your time. It was wonderful having you. You have been a lovely audience, and I hope you guys enjoyed the session. Thank you once again for joining us. Thanks, Ramon and Brooke. All other panelists have left. Thank you so much for joining us. Bye-bye and have a good time. Bye.